If I were to ask you to come up with a list of the 5 most influential motorcycling names in modern Indian history, there's a good chance that your list would read a little differently to mine. But there's a very good chance that both our lists would have the name Pulsar on it. So what happens when Bajaj launches the first all-new Pulsar in 10 years? Well, there's a lot to unpack. But I think we should start off by asking, what does the Pulsar brand represent in today's modern market? The original Pulsars were game changers that led Bajaj to where they stand today as a global motorcycling giant. The subsequent Pulsar 220 and the NS 200 that followed were both pivotal motorcycles for their time as well. But 20 years after the originals, the aim with today's new Pulsars isn't so much as to change the game rather than enrich and enhance what the Pulsar has to offer. And that's because these new 250 Pulsars are not meant to be replacements to the NS and the RS 200s. No, these bikes are meant to take over from the 15-year-old Pulsar 220. And there's a very good chance that in the future, this platform will spawn smaller models that will eventually replace the Pulsar 180, the 150 and the 125. But that's for a different day down the road. For today, let's talk about what these two bikes have to offer. With a product so important, you can understand why Bajaj has taken a relatively safe approach with the design. These are both completely fresh designs, but with plenty of cues from the existing Pulsar lineup. The differences between the naked N250 and the semi-faired F250 are purely in the front, and both bikes share the same fuel tanks, side profile and tail section. The rear looks smart with large split seats and a nice curve to the body panels as they meet that modern version of the classic Pulsar brake lamp. Over at the front, both use the same projector LED headlamp, but they get different LED running lamps, and of course the F gets a semi-fairing. Both also get a new instrument console that remains simple but looks quite classy with its thin bezels and analog rev counter. Thankfully, the digital part of this new display now has useful things like a clock, gear position indicator and a distance to empty gauge. It's really nice to see both these bikes out in the natural light, and having looked at them all day long, I think they're both rather nice looking machines, although they're not super attention grabbing. That being said, this N250 looks more youthful and sporty, whereas the F250 is a more familiar design. There's quite a bit of the old Pulsar 220 in its face and the old AS200 in the overall layout. Quality levels have made a marked improvement over the existing Pulsars, and you can see this in areas like the new switchgear that not only looks but also sounds and feels better to use. A closer look will also reveal smaller details like the texture on the brake lamps or the copper finish on the engine that adds a premium feeling. That being said, there are a couple of places like the exhaust shroud where the plastics have uneven gaps, although Bajaj tells us that this should be sorted out by the time the production picks up, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. Perhaps the biggest talking point on the new Pulsars is the engine. This is a brand new 249cc motor that has nothing to do with any existing KTM or Bajaj engine. It's an air-cooled engine, but it gets an oil cooler and it produces pretty healthy numbers for this price point. Peak power is identical to the NS200 at 24.5 horsepower, but it comes in at a lower RPM, while peak torque is higher than both the NS200 and the Pulsar 220. Now, there seem to be a lot of people online going on and on about how Bajaj has made a grave mistake by not giving this bike modern technologies like liquid cooling and a 6-speed gearbox. What those people seem to be forgetting is that Bajaj did that 10 years ago with the NS200, and that bike never went on to be a blockbuster. Even today, the Pulsar 220 outsells the NS200. Bajaj says that they know what the Pulsar customer wants, and apparently that's a sporty yet effortless riding experience that's all about the mid-range performance. So the big question is, how does this engine do in that regard? The answer is quite straightforward. This is a very likable engine. Just like Bajaj has managed with the Dominar 250, this motor is smooth and refined with only a small buzz appearing in the seats and foot pegs at high RPMs. But you won't need to go there very often because this engine loves being at anything between 4 and 7,000 RPM, where you're always greeted by a generous level of performance. That's not to say that the top end is flat, and you will be rewarded if you rev it all the way to 9,000 RPM, but the point is that you rarely need to. And that's where the 5-speed transmission comes in. The gear ratios are very well spaced out and they perfectly match this performance. With its light clutch and the easily accessible performance, the 250 will be enjoyable in city traffic, but it's also happy to hold between 100 and 120 kph on the highway without the engine sounding harsh or stressed. For you top speed junkies, we saw a little over 140 kph on the display during the brief time we got to spend at the company's test track. As for fuel efficiency, the Pulsar 250s have an ARAI certified number of 39 kpl, but Bajaj says that customers can expect similar real-world efficiency to the current Pulsar 220. The final point I'd like to touch on is the sound. This bike does not sound like the typical Pulsars of old, and it's left behind that whiny intake and thrashy exhaust sound in exchange for a much deeper yet more refined note that I quite enjoyed.
I think this new engine is the star of this motorcycle, but another change that's just as significant over the old 220 is this bike's new chassis.
Going with that new engine, the 250 Pulsars also get a brand new tubular steel chassis. This one is 3 kilos lighter than the perimeter frame in the NS, but Bajaj tells us is also stiffer in 2 of the 3 axes of measurement. The wheelbase remains roughly the same as the Pulsar 220, but there's now a monoshock at the rear. We also got to ride a couple of laps around Bajaj's test track at Chakan, where the new 250s felt a world of a difference over the previous gen Pulsars. The new bikes had a much better sense of agility and response, along with a more connected feel between what the front and rear ends were doing. I wouldn't go so far to say that these are the best handling 250s out there, and the foot pegs will start to scrape rather early at track speeds, but the step up in dynamics is huge, and these bikes don't feel as heavy as a spec sheet would suggest. You will enjoy the benefits of the chassis improvements out on the street. Interestingly, the N250 felt noticeably more agile than the F250 thanks to the extra weight over the front end on the fared bike. Honestly, I couldn't decide which one I preferred, because there were times when I enjoyed the agility of the N and other times where the stability of the F was nicer. Either way, the differences between the two of them aren't huge, but they are clear.
Good handling is always welcome, but these are Pulsars and comfort is equally important. I think Bajaj has done a really good job here. The seats are very comfortable, they're spacious, and the riding position is almost identical to the 220. In fact, it's almost identical on both bikes, despite the fact that this has a flat handlebar and that has clip-ons. Another thing that Bajaj has done is lower the seat height over the 220. It's not only lower, but it's also narrower, and that will help shorter riders. Now, to demonstrate this to you, we've got Shreyans, our cinematographer, who insists on me telling you that he's 5 feet 4.5 inches tall, and he tells me that this is the nicest 250 he's tried yet. He's not flat-footed, but he can get both his feet down.
They're not just more comfortable to sit on, and Bajaj has also done a fine job with the suspension setup. The 37mm fork in particular feels quite plush over broken sections, and while the shock is a little firmer, this is definitely one of the most comfortable suspension setups in the 250cc segment. As for the brakes, they're by an Italian company called Grimeca, which was bought out by Endurance in 2020. These brakes are not very sharp, but they work well enough if you give the lever a strong pull, and the performance is adequate for these motorcycles. The Pulsar 250s ride on MRF zappers that perform well in this application. The tyre sizes are the same as the NS200 and fatter than the ones on the Pulsar 220. The visual appeal of a fatter 140 or 150 section rear tyre would have definitely been nice, but Bajaj says they chose to avoid that because they would have had to make compromises in the suspension setup to retain the bike's agility with fatter rubber. Finally, the wheel rims may look identical to the NS200, but Bajaj tells us that these are lighter by half a kilo at each end.
One of Bajaj's key targets with these new Pulsars was that they should offer a significantly heightened riding experience over the old 220, but without messing with the price proposition. Having ridden these two bikes today, yes, they're definitely a cut above. But having met that price target means that these two bikes keep their feature set rather simple.
Features-wise, you get the LED projector headlamp, a slip assist clutch, and a side stand down engine kill switch. There's also a USB charging port that's neatly hidden away behind a spring-loaded cap. Features that you will find on some other bikes at this price but not here include Bluetooth connectivity, adjustable levers, and extravagances like riding modes. Personally, I'm fine with that, but I do believe that at least the range-topping Pulsar 250s should have come with a dual-channel ABS, but you'll only get a single-channel system with these bikes. While it would have been great for the Pulsars to bring out a bunch of segment-first new features, just like its predecessors used to, that role has now moved on to the more premium Dominars in Bajaj's lineup. The company has clearly developed these two bikes after listening closely to 20 years worth of feedback from its massive customer base. Today's Pulsars strive to offer a great performance to value ratio, and that reflects in their pricing. At 1.38 lakh rupees ex showroom, the N250 is on par with a dual channel ABS RTR 200 as well as the Yamaha FZ25, both of which are less powerful. As for the F250, its 1.4 lakh rupee price tag is much cheaper than the Suzuki Gixxer SF250, the Bajaj Dominar 250, and even the Pulsar RS 200. In fact, it's even more affordable than Honda's new CB200X, which is another semi-fared street bike.
Overall, I think these two bikes make for a great replacement to the old 220, and most loyal Pulsar fans should be happy to upgrade to this new platform. However, there is no getting away from the fact that the new 250 Pulsars represent a more humble repositioning of the Pulsar brand, away from being the old trendsetter that it was, and more towards retaining its grasp on the market.